This podcast is part of the Treksphere Network.
To find more Star Trek-related content, visit Treksphere.com. I got another intro for you, too. Hopefully this can keep going, because, we don't know what the episodes are until they air. And I'm like, oh, all right, well.
Well, at least at the end of this one, they didn't do for the next 10 episodes on Picard. Like, I'm glad I didn't see that, because I feel like it would have spoiled the fun for myself.
Right.
Anyway, as you know, this is The Measure of an Episode, where we talk about Picard. What's your intro?
Okay. What if you could travel to parallel worlds? The same year, the same Earth, only different dimensions. A world where the Confederation has taken over America, or where your dreams of being superstar came true, or where San Francisco was a maximum security prison. Picard and his friends found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home.
Is this also derived from Quantum Leap?
No, that's Sliders.
Man, I should have picked up on that. I watched that whole show, at least until they killed Jerry O'Connell.
Right. Yeah.
Why didn't I pick up on that? I watched that whole show. I didn't even understand what you were doing. That was like one of those shows that was, like, the concept was super cool.
Yeah.
But the execution was just like, you were just waiting for it to get not corny.
Yep.
I guess.
Well, and apparently, we'll make this a Sliders podcast. That's fine. Apparently, they specifically avoided allegory for the stories. They didn't worry about what messages could we say. They were like, what would be fun?
Well, I think they abandoned that when they sent one of the female characters off to an alien rape camp.
Yeah, and that's how they got rid of her. Yep.
Yeah, I think they were mad at her.
Anyway, and that's why this episode was so great. Yep.
Yeah. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we're watching Picard.
Yeah.
We watched Season 2, Episode 2, Penance.
Right.
And I don't have a blurb for Penance.
Because this is The Measure of an Episode, Star Trek edition, Picard edition, Season 2 edition.
Season 2 edition.
Episode 2.
Episode 2 edition.
All right, let me pull up the blurb for you. Hang on.
Say the blurb.
Okay, so...
Very unprepared.
I know.
Because it's the middle of the night that we're recording.
Yeah. Picard finds himself transported to an alternate timeline in the year 2400, where his longtime nemesis Q has orchestrated one final trial. Picard searches for his trusted crew as he attempts to find the cause of this dystopian future.
Okay, so I feel like none of those things are true.
This is let me bring you up to speed. This is not, here's what happens in this episode.
But even the logic of that it's not what happened. He was not transported where Q was testing him. Q brought him there to test him.
Well, maybe.
Right? I know I'm splitting hairs here, but it's just it's not, this person didn't watch the episode.
Well, right.
Kind of.
Well, no, he didn't even have to find his crew.
He didn't find them. He walked up, it's like, oh, there they are.
Yeah.
Hello, over here.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't go hunting for them, and Q is not in this episode, and he doesn't know whether or not he's being put on trial. He still thinks that this is Q's fault, and we don't know whether or not it is yet.
I guess we're supposed to infer that it's another test of some kind. But boy, did I like this episode, Jonathan.
Yeah, so did I.
I think it's back. It's back. Is Star Trek back?
Well, here's what was so great about this episode, at least for me, is you always want this. You want to spend more time in the alternate world that's always presented, and you don't have enough time because you have 45 to 55 minutes to introduce this world and then resolve the situation. And so they really got to just spend time with all of these characters in their new roles, which, I mean, it was mostly the Annika show, but it was still fun to spend time here. I
felt like this episode, of all of the existing 12 episodes of Picard, felt the most like an episode, a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
This feels like one of the old, classic Trek episodes where they have a problem they're presented with at the beginning. They have to work out the problem together without any philosophizing about life. Their goals were clear. Their actions were clear. And the tension and the stakes were clear.
Yes.
We knew what was going on. There wasn't this long, far-off mystery that we were trying to figure out. Not that I don't mind that, But at least we had a goal, a short-term goal at hand. We have to get off the planet and go time travel around and look for whales.
Right.
And it was great.
Yeah.
Tell me you weren't riveted by this episode. I was riveted.
Yeah.
I didn't even look at the time. Usually I'm like, oh my, how much longer in the episode?
No, the only reason I looked at the time was because it was on Paramount Plus, and I had to figure out like when the commercials were happening. But yeah, beyond that, I loved everything about this episode. There really wasn't anything that...
There's nothing to tear apart. I have a few things, though.
Okay.
I have a few things.
There's nothing to tear apart. Having said that...
Yeah. Except... Okay.
The director and the actors. That's it.
Everything else is great!
Maybe the writing.
So there's one thing, though. A couple of things, like I said before, that we haven't gotten to yet. The first thing, Rafi doesn't know who Q is. I find that hard to believe.
Mr. Alphabet?
Right?
Why?
Well, so Eleanor...
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. All right. Go for it. What?
What did you think I meant?
No. I knew what you meant, but I was trying to think, like, why would she know? But then she's also Starfleet. Like, everybody should know who Q is if they were in Starfleet. If anyone, like, well... Eleanor could have not known. Aggie could have not known. And I think that's it.
Eleanor did know.
Eleanor knew who Q was?
Says. Oh, I heard about it.
Oh, that's right, because of his autobiography. Right. Yeah.
So the fact that Picard never once brought up Q in their time working together.
Right. Yeah. That...
I don't know. I'm kind of splitting hairs here, which is a good thing for the episode. But, why wouldn't she know who Q is? At least, like, I'm sure, I feel like there... must have been, because Q does say at the end of all good things, the test will never be over. I'll always be watching you. So I always did the math that he would check in every once in a while, in between the end of all good things and now in Picard. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't. It seems like he didn't.
Well, but even if he didn't, she was part of Starfleet. And it was at least based on DS9 when Q showed up. Everybody knew who he was.
Well, and also she's friends
Picard.
With Q's favorite human, right? So you'd think that Picard would have some stories to tell about Q. The most interesting stories, perhaps.
Yes.
So I don't know. It just felt like, it didn't matter. We know who Q is. The rest of the crew knows who Q is. Why doesn't Raffi?
Well,
why was that a thing to make her not know? I don't. It was just such a strange little blip in the narrative. I just didn't understand why it was
right. And it's weird. I mean, yes, it's weird that it was in the episode in general, but it's also weird that it was Raffi when Aggie could have done the exact same thing. Because it was said in the room when everyone was there. So,
man, and by the way, speaking of Aggie, she's like a tour de force in this episode.
Yeah, she was very fun to watch. It's just very clear that she is now the comic relief.
And she's handling it really well. I'm glad she dropped all that I killed somebody baggage.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's gone.
I'm glad you got over that.
If you put Aggie from season 1 next to Aggie from season 2 so far, totally different characters, I would argue. She's not, if you think about even the first time we see her in episode Picard, what? And the first episode of Picard that we see her, you would find that she's not humorous, really.
Right.
I mean, she kind of has like a little bit of sarcasm, I guess. But everything that she does in this episode, in season 2, episode 2, is not hilarious. But it's really charming.
Right.
She's doing that thing so well. She's doing that kind of, I'm insecure about the situation, but I'm not afraid of the situation. I'm just kind of like, what's going on here? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I loved it. Really, really entertaining. Felt like she did a great job. You know who the LVP is?
I would guess Raffi.
Well, I don't like
I know.
her. I still don't like
that's
her.
why I was guessing Raffi. Yeah.
Right. But, I guess she's always that. But the runner-up.
The SLVP?
Yeah. Was kind of Picard, I guess, which I guess is true of the previous season. Although he was good, too. He wasn't just a doddering tot.
Right. No, he was playing the part, and he was playing it well.
He was playing the part. Yeah, he played it well. And I felt like, oh, maybe this is a little bit of Picard in this.
Yeah.
But I felt like he was kind of minimized. Everybody else was kind of shining in this.
Right.
for some reason. Like when everybody's figuring out that, oh, I'm in a different, what's going on? I'm the president now, or I'm the leader. Very all conveniently placed people. I guess that's all Q's doing.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind. I didn't mind all of the caveats to the storyline and the convenience of where these characters were placed in the hierarchy of this crazy autocratic system.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting that all of them had a place of authority.
Yes. Except for Eleanor.
Well, obviously, but I did like that moment where he was getting his ass kicked until Raffi was like, okay, I got what I needed. And then.
That was cool. It was fun because he just whooped everybody's
right.
ass.
Like handily. There wasn't any, let me get my bearings again. It was just, okay, now that I don't need to be whooped, I'm done. Yeah.
Right.
And you're done.
Yeah. Loved it.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, okay, so they got transported to a new timeline, however you want to say it. It's like, oh, so does that mean he's no longer a ninja? It's like, no, you carry along, like he can still also count to 10. So, he's still, you carry stuff with you.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting. Like, I feel like Annika was probably the most interesting because what would her personality be like if she was never assimilated?
Yeah, I agree. I refuse to believe that she would be sort of this kind of stilted, emotionless personality.
Right.
She'd probably just be a normal person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And interesting that her husband didn't find her attitude change, jarring.
Well, he kind of did. He was kind of skeptical the entire time. It felt like. It's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm glad they didn't dwell on this.
Right.
I'm glad that, and he still didn't even figure out that it wasn't her,
right.
his wife by the end.
Right.
He was holding a gun to them. He still thinks that's his wife. But I did feel that maybe she wouldn't be, I was expecting there to be a moment or a scene where she's trying to calculate something in her head. She can't do it because she doesn't have Borg implants.
That would have been cool. Right.
Like she's not as smart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was neat to see that she went through the same protocol to figure out that it was a dream.
Right. That was cool. That we get a little bit of what is Seven doing her off time? She burns herself and smells candles. Make sure she's
well, and
not
does
dreaming.
Calculations with lipstick on the mirror.
Would you like a pencil? We solved this problem eons ago.
And also, we have other ways of communicating with each other now.
This is the fastest way. A little heavy-handed on the Nazi Confederacy imagery, I felt. It seemed like with the lights, the red lights, and the saying Confederation 1,900 times through the course of this episode.
Yeah.
A little heavy-handed. Felt like they didn't need to double down on it like they did. Star Wars kind of did that in the sequels.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially Force Awakens, where it's just like, oh, this is Nazi Germany in space. Something for the whole family.
Yeah, I will say like the end was the most frustrating part of this whole episode.
Yes, it made no sense.
Well, just where it ends on a cliffhanger of a gun being pointed at the main character of the show. Like there's no tension there. It's not like Picard is going to die, and even if he does, it's not as though it's going to be permanent.
Well, so the tension for me came from is the Borg Queen now going to do something now that she's plugged in, she's Bluetoothed over to the ship. And that's what I was expecting. I didn't even realize I was at the end of the episode.
Right.
This has not happened a long time for me where the credits pop up. I was like, no, I want to see what happens.
Yeah, you haven't done this sort of thing in a long time.
Where we don't have another episode to watch? Yeah,
like where the show is continuing. Like you've watched shows where there isn't another episode to watch. Like that's the thing that happens. It's not like you continue watching soap operas.
No, but yeah, I normally will not watch a show if I don't have I don't know that I can't move on to the next episode if I so choose.
Right. Like you wait until the story arc is done before you start watching. Yeah.
Right. The most interesting part, I think, was their talk with the Borg Queen. And so they kind of retconned the Borg Queen a little bit. They gave her some kind of supernaturally powers about sensing time variation and all these different
I think
things.
that's a Voyager
Which I'm fine with.
I could be wrong, but because they've dealt with time travel so much with the Borg, I think that is something that they are aware of. Maybe not, but it also given a hive mind, it makes sense in a roundabout way.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there would be connection. I'm sure they have connection is of utmost importance to them because they are a collective, and without connection, without the ability to communicate, it's very frightening for them. So I can imagine them wanting to stay connected over any distance, even time. So I can see them having that technology.
Yeah. Well, and I really liked that she did kind of have a glitch when she realized that there was no hive to connect to.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I would like to know, given her ability to see the universe in a unique way, I would like to know her take on Q.
Yes.
Maybe we're going to get that at a certain point.
Right.
But what do the Borg think about Q? Because as far as Q is concerned, we only really have what a human's perception of him would be. So I want to hear her talk about Q a little bit.
That would be cool.
I don't think we're going to get the in-depth conversation that I'm talking about.
Right. No.
But we'll probably get something, right?
But it would be cool to like see them try to assimilate Q and see what happens, and and just kind of get their perspective on it. The other thing that I am hoping that we get to see is where the conflict comes from between Guinan and Q, and or what her ability is to defend herself against Q.
Right. And I mean, so there is that episode where Q introduces the Enterprise to the Borg in Star Trek The Next Generation. And that's when Guinan and Q kind of have this weird psychic face-off where she sees Q standing over there and she puts her hands up like she's going to perform some sort of magic on him. And I always wondered about that. Was that just her sort of a visceral reaction? Or was she actually going to do something that she doesn't do?
Exactly. Yeah. And so it'd be nice if that showed up in this series. So, I mean, we can't talk about whether or not it was proper yet, but it was great.
Yeah. At least it was familiar, which is what I've been bitching about this whole time. That it didn't feel that way, but this feels familiar. And not in a, this isn't the old show, so therefore a bad show, not in that kind of way, but just like, hey, this feels like a Star Trek show.
Right.
I'm trying to think of anything else that happened in the episode that was interesting.
No, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head when just there was a conflict, and that's what their focus was the entire episode, was just trying to collect enough information so they knew how to fix the problem.
And they did. But anyway, I hope they keep this up. I think they're doing a great job. Everybody should be watching this. By the way, spoilers, we're going to talk about this episode. So,
if you're avoiding spoilers, you probably shouldn't have listened to this.
But join us next time when we talk about Season 2, Episode 3, Penance Part 2.
Yeah. Wednesdays, we still have our regular classic Trek reviews and analyses. But this comes out as soon as we have it available to you. So keep listening if you like it.
Check in.